When you trust Ferguson Roof Systems to replace your roof, we go the extra mile to protect your home and property. On every job, we deploy durable netting to protect your home's exterior and landscaping. It's just one more reason why you should call Ferguson Roof Systems today.
All right, looks like we are starting. Hey everybody, Meteorologist Tuttle back with you. It is about 5:43. So thanks for joining in, guys, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Rumble, and on Facebook. And for the second time in a row today, Facebook did not notify me that I was going live, which means it probably didn't notify you either. So if you're watching this late, well, that's probably because Facebook's really being a turd. All right. Hey, I got some little surprise for you, though. For those folks that did make it and did get the notification, we have a little special guest in our studios today. And you're going, what? Yeah. Have you met Miss Jody? Hey, Miss Jody.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm doing really well. There's snow out here, honey.
Yeah, I figured, why not go to a Canadian? It's got the expertise in this environment, right? So I figured, you know what?
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to make use of the only Canadian, the true Canadian blood here in Oklahoma for a winter weather update, because you're not going to get any more accurate, weather information from this. And she's a backyard meteorologist too. She got her little backyard degree from taking some classes online, so she's legit.
That's right.
So
I gotcha. I got you covered.
As you can see, we still have this snowy skyline out there. So there's the rooftop on the AT's weather cam out there across my neighborhood. And she's going to give you like a little sneak peek what's happening at the ground level. So what is this snow, like Canadian snow, Jody? Tell me what you see out there.
So yes, it's like a Canadian snowfall. It's really heavy and it's really, really wet. Like it's really sticky. You can form a snowball really easy. If there is enough accumulation, you can make a snowman. Oh my gosh, this is perfect snow type weather.
Now, is it really wet, like a kind of almost icy feeling?
So yeah, it's really wet. It's really heavy. It's very refreshing out here.
Refreshing. Yeah, she likes to use that word, but it's in the 30s.
Yeah, but as you can see in the backyard here, we have quite a bit of accumulation on the ground, so it's nice. Of course, it's warm.
Yeah, you know what else I see? A lot of melting. Boy, and that's got me fired up.
Oh, absolutely. Look at all my footprints here. That's how wet the snow is.
Yeah, it's barely snow at this point. It's just like a really cold liquid. I got you. So, all right. So what you're telling me is it's cold and there's still some snow out there, but it's kind of wet and icy feeling, right?
Yeah, and it's still coming down. I can still feel it. It's like a wet, heavy kind of sleet drizzle.
All right. So still some light snow out there. All right. Thanks there, Canadian reporter Jody.
No problem.
Appreciate you. We'll see you on the other side.
Problem.
All right. So I thought that would be fun. I set that up here in the last 30 minutes. I said, hey, I'm going to put you out there live, and I'll put you out there as my correspondent in the snow. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little fun. Okay, so let me think here. I was so distracted at the fun stuff there that I didn't have anything really set up for you. So let me go and get that done. So it's going to be kind of raw all over the place for sure. Let me see here. What? Okay. Oh, I know what I did. All right, so you're going to have to hang up, Jody, and then I'm going to have to change this graphic around. Boy, I really messed this thing up, didn't I? Oh, no, I could do this. Never mind. Okay, so we'll do this right here. First off, there's still some snow out there, and we got our secondary round that's developing in southern Oklahoma that's kind of going to be tiptoeing here into central Oklahoma. So this is the radar view where you see the kind of the purple-ish, that is still where snow is falling and occurring. However, if you look up here in northeast Oklahoma, this green that you see is really sad news. Up here in this region of the state, temperatures got too warm and it stayed in the form of a cold rain today. Now, I will say, if you look at I-40 here, east to west, you do see a very slight progression to the north. In other words, that the rain snow line is still slowly moving from this realm back up to the north. So it's going to eventually encroach upon Tulsa. It's just taking its sweet time. And it's, you guys up there I know are super disappointed. Even Oklahoma City, we've still got some snow here. And the amounts have ranged anywhere, like that says 3 inches in Noble. Here's 3 inches in Shawnee. There was 5 inches here in Pottawatomie, north of Tribby. So there has been anywhere from 1 to 2 to 5 inches reported here in central Oklahoma. The problem is it melted so fast. I don't think I've ever seen a melt rate equal to the snowfall rate, which means as it was coming down, it was melting. And so on the forecast side of things, it's very frustrating. I told you it would be very difficult to get a good measurement and a final measurement because a lot of it was going to melt. Now I was taking a guess at 2 inches of melting, right? But I guess we have to guess more than that. So what do you do in this environment when that has happened and you're like, okay, how do you find exactly how much snow fell because it was melting as it was falling? You still got to count the fact that it did snow, right? You still got to count the fact how much snow fell from the sky. So at the end of the day, what you do is you get the liquid equivalent, so you let it all melt. And then at that point, you use a liquid to snow ratio. So let's say it was 8 to 1, right? And let's say we got a full inch of rain, in other words. Well, then you multiply that by that ratio, and you end up with 8 inches of snow. So that's just kind of a simplified look, but that's how much you could say fell from the sky. How much melted? Well, that's a whole other story. And as we talked about with ground temps and air temps, just a couple degrees above freezing. Some of it was going to melt, as we knew. It's just a question of how much. So I know there'll be a lot of meteorologists and weathermen out there going, okay, how do I explain this? But that explanation was given, prior to the event. So it's not like you didn't know that was coming. It's just always frustrating. So the other frustrating part here, I know for Tulsa, if you look at this map right here, this is the wet bulb temperature, and you are in the 36 to 38 degree range, sneaking in here to Stillwater. This is why you're not seeing snow in your area, because your wet bulb temperature is too warm. You've got to get that dynamically cooled, and that's not going to happen until the upper low tracks here across southeast Oklahoma later on this evening. Like, I'll dynamically cool some of this stuff down here, probably with the exception of McCurtain County. So you guys will get some snow here for the evening across Tulsa. It's just unfortunate you did not get any late afternoon snow. The watches and warnings that are in effect still continue for the winter storm warning in pink. It's a large area encompassing our part of the central southern plains. Down here in southeast Texas, they had several tornadoes, especially a couple of them during the Houston area, along the coastline toward Beaumont, and now into Louisiana. So we did talk about severe weather with this situation. That is continuing. Here's a close-up view of the water vapor loop. Now, the center of the upper level low is this spinning motion right here, all right? So that is moving. And let me do this. I didn't load this in earlier, but this will help you see better as to, where is I thought there was some counties. Here they are. Some counties on here. Okay. So, close this right here. The upper level low, again, the center of it, is rolling pretty much due east along I-20, heading right toward Dallas-Fort Worth, which is right here. And it's going to start to kind of do a little curl to the north of the Metroplex and then kind of do this. All right, so that takes it from about this position like so, and then it starts to do this and like that. So what happens is you guys get on the tail end here at Dallas-Fort Worth, see a little bit of wraparound snow on the bottom end of this upper low. Again, just enough probably to get on it, maybe coat the ground briefly, and it'll melt. So that's about all you're going to get out of that. But what it will do, and if you do notice this enhancement in the satellite view, this little V shape, so this is kind of like what we call the beginning stage is kind of like the deformation zone, where you get an extra round of precipitation, in this case snowfall, that starts to develop along the trough axis of this low, and then that will develop kind of behind it in a counterclockwise fashion. So we still have more snow to come, and right now this batch here of heavier stuff is starting to develop and move now into southwest Oklahoma, and then move on into central Oklahoma, the I-35 corridor, for the remainder of, say, about the next 3, 4, 5 hours, and then it will shift off here into eastern Oklahoma. So that's kind of like what's happening currently as far as the live view goes. If you do try to time this out on the lift in the atmosphere, again, all the bright colors represents the lift. Let's see, let's put this in motion here for this afternoon. Now you can see, remember, it kind of dropped down to like some flurries in some areas, some really light snow. Well, that's because a lot of the lift around here kind of vaporized. And then what will happen is, with that upper level low moving, You see how we have this new lift that kicks in around the 6 o'clock hour. So here over the next few minutes, this batch of lift is going to help to crank out more precipitation. It shifts off to the east by around 9 o'clock into this area. And of course, that kind of starts to eliminate some of the heavier lift in central Oklahoma. So as I'm saying, we got another 3 to 6 hours here of some heavy stuff across the state. Then it moves on into Arkansas and southwest Missouri. So again, if you're in Tulsa right here, your sweet spot is going to be right around 9 o'clock on the south side of town, more so than the north side of town as far as what you have precipitation to work with. Now, if we look at the printout of this, I'm just going to start you at about 5 o'clock. So this is where the model had indicated earlier in today's information that this area here would be rain and then finally converting over to snow by about this time into 6 o'clock and then into 7 o'clock. So there, the model took up until 7 to get you guys fully transferred over to snow in its midday update. You still see some heavy snow though in this zone, as we talked about here across central and southern Oklahoma. And that moves to the east and into Arkansas, of course, and in Missouri, and even southern Kansas. This is at 9 o'clock, so still some good snows here in Oklahoma City, and back into even a little bit out toward Elk City. And then by midnight, still some light snow, but the heavy stuff is now pushed into eastern Oklahoma. And then we get wraparound that kind of diminishes overnight. Still some flurries that refire up through daybreak, and that's about it. So we're still going to get some more measurable snow with the heavier rain snow equivalent out here across the southeastern quadrant of the state. We're still about an inch of precipitation will still fall. The models from the midday to the rest of the period still had about 4/10 and 5/10 in Tulsa. So that, if you were just bringing it into all snow, for example, would be probably about 3 inches of snow here in Oklahoma City at the most. And then we're looking at about 4 inches of snow in Tulsa, for example, at the most. But again, keep in mind that some of that will melt. So what comes out of that at the final total, I'm not quite certain. Temperatures, though, as we talked about, should kind of hover. Let me go to the evening, starting here at 7. We've got 34 to 35 is what the models had kind of indicated, although they've been a little warm by a degree or so they kind of overestimated temperatures a bit. It's not surprising, though, but they're not going to cool down too much. We're still going to kind of hover between 32 and 33 degrees overnight into tomorrow morning across central Oklahoma. The metro, again, kind of teetering close to freezing there. So I guess in theory, bridges and overpasses might become a little slippery in some spots. Otherwise, the roadways are pretty much just wet just because of the warm ground temperatures. And then we rebound tomorrow afternoon back into the 40s. Now, again, the snow will help to retard some of the heating. So in other words, we might not quite get as warm as the mid-40s. It might be lower 40s. But needless to say, it will be a little bit warmer than today. And they're going to repeat for Thursday in the cold 20s for lows, and then back up into the 40s, and then probably some 50s down here along the border for Thursday afternoon in the southern Oklahoma. Okay, so as far as, let me see about remainder of snow this afternoon, or this evening, I should say. And we'll get the latest output from that. Let's see here. I think this is going to be it. So when you melt the snow, what's left as it continues to kind of come down, the models, this is the model blend version, so it's the very lowest estimate. So still 1 to 2 inches here in central Oklahoma, 1 to maybe 2 from central to south Tulsa, otherwise 2 to 3, and there's some up here around 6. There's still going to be some heavy snow in this region of the state, so that's not over with yet. Yours is just about to begin. But again, we don't know how much is this going to melt. So again, I think about 3 inches, but we'll see. If you measure, if you melt half of it, you're back down 1.5 inches. So that's kind of how that looks. Let me see anything else I wanted to point out to you. Let's do this real quick. This needs to be in the back of your mind. Okay. Let me start. Let me set the stage. This is going to be important information for you. And I've talked about this for 3 days now. I think it's been 3, maybe 4. Let's go to the national picture. Okay, so this is the jet stream pattern. All right, our first little storm system that's moved through now. We're going to look at the European because European usually does a very good job at picking out the future pattern that we're going to be facing. All right, so this is, let me go back here to, let's go Monday. Yeah, I want to go back to Monday. All right, so this is Sunday into Monday. All right, we'll just stick with Monday. All right, so what we have out here across the southwestern part of the country is a good, broad, strong upper level low pressure system. All right. Now, what happens within this is you get the jet stream that wraps down around the backside and comes across like this. Now, this puts us what we call a southwest flow aloft. And you can get these little disturbances that rotate in the flow and they move across. All right. Plus, it's a moist flow. It usually picks up Gulf of Mexico air that rides up to the north. Okay, so what that happens is it opens up the Gulf of Mexico and it has a Pacific jet on top of it. So in other words, you have a lot of moisture to work with. Now, at the same time, unfortunately, the pattern is favorable for Arctic air because to set this part up, at first, if I go back in time, we have this guy right here, which is a north to south flow, northwest to southeast, and that drives in the Arctic air that comes in out of Canada and the pole. So now we got to go to look at the actual temperatures, and I'll track the Arctic front on this map using the 925 millibar layer. So it's good. It'll give us the idea of where this stuff is at. So there's a little push of some Arctic air that's coming in on the 26th that kind of moves on by. It's probably continental polar, more so than Arctic. But this Arctic blast here is the real deal. Now this comes in on the 29th. So this is Sunday itself. So look what happens. It's coming right in here across central Oklahoma. Now let me zoom in because this is important and I want you to be able to see this. All right, here we go. So this is Sunday morning, and it shows you the nice push, and this is temperature right around 0 degrees Celsius. This is the best leading edge of where the Arctic air is, all right? So what happens is this Arctic air comes in, and you know the infamous I-44 corridor from Tulsa, Oklahoma City, right about here, and it usually doesn't seem to go very far past that, and it kind of hangs around, and we're on the leading edge of that, and this is on the 30th, and you see what happens. You see all this is just kind of sitting there, right? Okay, so the problem is the Arctic air gets here, doesn't move, gets entrenched through that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday time frame until I think we head into Wednesday. I think eventually Wednesday got a little bit more of a push into Thursday. So there we go. There's Thursday morning, and now it's starting to move, and it's down here. Now that is a prolonged 3-day period where we have a setup for precipitation and Arctic air. So you're asking, well, what does that mean? It means ice storm, a prolonged ice storm, which could mean devastating ice storm, crippling ice storm. So that is what we have to watch out for, and that is what's potentially in the forecast because this is what that pattern suggests. The other thing I can show you, and I think I'll do it, we can do 850. Because this, I didn't even look at this yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be warm up above that layer. Okay, so yeah, on Sunday. So this is the 850 millibar temperature level, and you can see we're plus 5 degrees. All right, so before we were 0 degrees, now we're plus 5. In other words, that's warm air on top. That's warm air advection overriding the cold air at the surface. I get freezing drizzle with that, light freezing rain, maybe sometimes some heavy rain if it comes in just right. We get kind of more of a south fetch of that or southeast, which we seem to do at times in this data set. So when all that's said and done, and you look, this is the preliminary first stab at it from the European data, and it's got anywhere from about half an inch to maybe as much as 6/10 or 7/10 of ice accumulation across the I-44 corridor here in central Oklahoma, then back up northeast Oklahoma, then southeast of that. So again, I'm sounding the alarms just to let you know this could be one of those ice storms that are nasty, and it prolongs for a couple of days with the way the pattern is set up. So it's not locked in, but this is the European, which I've used many times to school Mother Nature and forecasters on this because I recognize the pattern. It's an ugly one. It's always hard to believe just because it's so ominous looking. And we are still, several days away, but this is at the end of the month in the beginning of February. So if you have any travel plans, you're going to be going out of town, you're going to want to pay attention is all I'm saying, because we're going to look at this very carefully over the next few days, and we're going to fine tune it to find out what exactly is up Mother Nature's sleeve. But the pattern suggests this could be problematic. All right, so I just want you to know. And as far as final totals go, we will not know that. I mean, I showed you a map, just kind of give you an estimate as what potential is on the table. It could be less, it could be a lot more, or it could be right where it is now. I mean, it could never waver. But I can tell you this: you get 3 days of that setup. That's no good. That is no good. All right. Let me think. Anything else? I showed you the timing. I showed you the amounts of snow that's still left to go. I showed you the current radar view. I think I pretty much covered it all. And of course, if you missed it, you joined in late. You missed our Canadian correspondent, Jody Tuttle, out there in the elements to brave Mother Nature and tell us what was in the backyard. So that was fun. Okay. All right. I believe, I think that was it. So some of you are having a problem with the notifications. And trust me, I don't even get my own notifications. And I fixed it just the other day, right? I even showed you how to do it. And they were working. Everything was working fine. And today, I got nothing. And I'm so irritated. And then to add insult to injury, then Facebook posts notification of something I went live on Monday in the afternoon, or for like a lunchtime live. I'm like, I didn't post that. I didn't go live with them today for that. And then on top of that, then it has the nerve to say, do you still want these notifications? Hit yes to stop receiving them. And I'm like, no. No. This was back to like the double negative speak or whatever. I don't know who writes this code. I'm so irritated though with them for messing all this up. So if you're having trouble, the workaround I have always posted is in that link. Here, I'll do it again. Let me hit the enter button here. If you're having trouble, hit that link I just posted. You can opt in and get messages directly from me. We can bypass the whole system. We can bypass the matrix, and I'll go directly to you through your direct message on Facebook. You'll have to re-opt in every now and then to keep it going, though. That's the only downfall. And that's because it times you out. And once again, Facebook gets dirty in there and takes away your rights. I'm really starting to not like this platform, right? But it is what it is. Okay, so listen, I think that's it for now. We had a little bit of fun, plus we updated the weather. Yes, trust me, I am super disappointed that we had so much melting of the snow. It still fell, though. It still looked good. It was huge
flakes all afternoon. I mean, it was snowing to beat the band. And we still got more this evening, so enjoy it while you can. Roadways should be mostly good. Like I said, if you get about a 2 to 3 inch snowfall rate, at some point it may overcome the melting of the roads just for a little bit, so be careful if that's the case. And you can use my website if you haven't already. I've showed you this before. And let me just do this here real quick. That's not what I wanted. It was this guy here. If you do this real quick, I look down here on the state, and you can click on all these traffic cameras to see pictures of what the roadways actually look like here across Oklahoma. Now we're going to obviously get a little dark here, and so somebody's going to be harder to see, but the headlights of the vehicles will be in the path. And then you can also do these little guys right here, and they'll show you the cameras. And you can see this way how traffic is moving along pretty good, but you can also see the snow back in the background of the camera. So that's always helpful for you, and that's across Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, Colorado, et cetera, et cetera. But again, that's AaronTuttleWeather.com. It's on the Weather Data tab, and you look down to multi-state road conditions. There's a bunch of other stuff on there, but that'll get you going. All right, that is it for me for now. We will talk again soon. Be careful out there and enjoy the weather, and have a good evening.